There was a time when I thought maybe having an android or a robot around the house, to help me clean, cook, put away my laundry, you know, do my lawn would be a good idea. But I just saw Megan, and I'm going to say maybe not so much. I just finished seeing Megan, the new horror movie here, and let me tell you, she is going to be giving Chucky a run for his money. And I seriously, seriously mean that. So, folks, how you doing today? My name is Santiago Valencia. I'm here reviewing the new horror flick, Megan, that I just finished seeing in the theater. And let me tell you, overall, it surprised me. It was overall better than I expected. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about this. Megan is directed by Gerald Johnson. The story actually is by James Wan, which surprised the hell out of me because I didn't realize that he was, part of this sort of a thing. So story is by James Wan, even though the screenplay is by Akela Cooper, if I'm not mistaken, and it's scored by Anthony Willis. Now, there are great talent actors in this, including Allison Williams, Violet McGraw, and the physical body of Megan is played by Amy Donald, while the voice is performed by Jenna Davis. And a nice surprise for me was that I also get to see Ronnie Chen, which was really cool because I wasn't expecting him in this movie, and I love his comedic stuff. Even though he played a little bit more of a serious role in this, you can still see that comedy was right there. It just wanted to pop out, right? But it was really, really cool to see him on this one. So if you haven't seen the trailers and you have no idea what this movie is about, Megan is the first horror movie of 2023 where we have a lady played by Allison Williams, who is a toy developer, coder, creator sort of a thing, who works for this big company that puts out these toys. And she is suddenly finds herself as a guardian to her niece, if I'm not mistaken, that's played by Violet McGraw. And all of a sudden, she's in the parent role for this young little girl. And in the process, pushes forward this new technology of like a cyborg android toy for kids so that she can test it with her niece, but also at the same time, have this android take care of her niece so she doesn't have to take care of her as much so she can get back to work. And of course, one thing leads to another, and the consequences are disastrous, and which gives us a nice, technology, horror, flick, AI sort of a thing of 2023. So that is basically the story for Megan. Now, when I first saw this, stepped into the theater, I wasn't expecting a lot because if you've seen the trailer, there's two main trailers. The first trailer is good. It's solid. It's kind of scary. And then the second trailer, they made it kind of poppy. Like they put in this pop song for the second main trailer. And I was like, kind of cheapened it for me. I'm like, and that kind of scared me because I was like, well, is it scary or is it going to be kind of like cheesy? I couldn't really tell from the two contrasting trailers. So overall, didn't know what to expect. But lo and behold, it actually was a solid, good horror flick. And the one thing that really surprised me about this movie is that the pacing was very, very good. I mean, it did not rush anything. And the way that the story unfolded over time was very natural. It was very good. And it just kept you pretty much right there at the edge of your seat for the most part, like going, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? It didn't really, jam down the horror thing. I don't even know if it started getting scary until probably close to the middle of the movie, which is kind of unusual for a horror flick. It starts off with this commercial of these, advanced toys that they're trying to push to kids, these little fluffy toys, which is kind of cool. Kind of a sign of the times, right? Probably giving you a little bit of a preview of what the toys might be in the future. So it kind of starts like that. It starts kind of cute, sort of thing. And then the story just builds. It builds naturally. We see how our characters are affected by this, and then that. And it just was very natural the way that the pacing happened. I had a really good story, a very good script overall. Was it predictable? I would say that I mean, maybe a little bit. It was maybe a little bit predictable, especially when you're comparing this M3GAN character to, let's say, Chucky, right? Which is a very natural comparison to draw from this. But overall, it was really, really good. So there was some cool themes in it that I thought were really nice, especially one when it has to do with children. There's a part where there's a child psychologist explaining to our main character, that kids need this attention. You can't really substitute something else for true connection between human and human, that they just need that. And the way that they unfolded that and explained that was very simple, but very effective. So I actually really appreciated that theme, that moral of the story sort of thing. The production value on this movie was very good. It was very solid. They did some really amazing effects on the face for M3GAN. And is it just me, or does she look like an Olsen twin? I don't. Maybe that's just me. But anyway, they did a really, really good job. With our last Chucky movie, the one that where he was a robot, it's an AI. That face was a little bit more plasticky. It wasn't as realistic as I felt that they could have done on that Chucky movie. So coming to this movie with M3GAN, I think they really nailed it. They did a great job. It was very smooth. It was very natural. And because of that, the expressions on M3GAN's face were very, they were excellent. I mean, you can tell when M3GAN was happy. You can tell when she was pissed, and then you can tell when she was about to kick your ass. I mean, really, they did such great expressions on this that it was really, really solid. So that production value, that those effects for that was really, really high in my opinion. Overall, it was scary. There were a lot of seeing, these inventive kills, if you will, that happened throughout the movie, and you didn't really know where things were going to go, because even though it was a little predictable, it wasn't that predictable. So there were some surprises around the corner that I really liked. And overall, that just kind of made it kind of ominous and kind of scary. Almost like it did have that trailer, the Terminator thing, be careful for Skynet, and be careful, the iRobot thing with Will Smith movie. And it had this message of just be careful, right? So that fit right in with that message overall as well. So, all right, let's talk about the music. Like I said, the music was done by Anthony Willis, and this is for the most part, a classical orchestral score. I think that the music was very good. It did what it needed to do. It fit with what was going on. Do I think it was a great score? Probably not. Was it a good score, a very good score? It was. It was very simplistic in certain ways. There was, I think one of the first cues was like a simple piano with some strings, some soaring strings coming in. So it was very beautiful. But I do think that the orchestrations were simple in that sense, which is not a bad thing. But it was just a little, it was very easy to take in this music. I will say one thing. There were 2 or 3 instances where M3GAN, and I don't want to give too much away, but actually sings like a melody from a song with words. And the one thing I thought was really sweet that really just brought you in was that the orchestra, the background, kind of accompanied M3GAN as she's singing, and it kind of just went together. And the way that it was done, I thought it was beautifully done. And it was very seamless. It just comes in, the orchestra joins M3GAN. When she's done singing, then the orchestra goes back and does what it was doing before. So that happened like 2 or 3 times during the movie, and I thought that was really nice. It was very seamless, and it just seemed very natural. And when it did happen, you kind of felt like, oh, that's so sweet. Oh, that's it. It did what it was supposed to do, is just give it that sweet moment. So that I really thought that the orchestra and the composer did a really nice job at putting those 2 worlds together on that. So that was really, really cool. And there were some pop songs, I think, and there were maybe like 2 or 3 pop songs throughout the whole movie, which were good. I mean, they are actually really good pop songs. There was this one song that where the characters are getting to work. It's like, okay, let's get to work. And there was this really cool pop song in the middle of the movie. And overall, I do think that the music did support everything that was going on screen. That being said, I'm a lover of the orchestra. You know, overall, I'm always going to pick the orchestra over like a soundscape or an ambiance or something that's really too synthy or whatever like that. That's just my style. But I will say that in this particular movie, I think it might have been, it could have used a little bit more of an edge. I probably would have, added a little bit more, whether it's synth or effect or something drony or something a little bit more harsh sort of a thing, like some scrapes or something like that, to give a little bit more of depth to the tear that we're supposed to be feeling during the movie. That matched with the orchestra would have probably had a bit of a better effect to what we were supposed to feel in this horror, in this horror movie, especially when, a kill is about to happen or something, ominous that happens with Megan. I think I probably would have added a little bit of that as well. But overall, again, I think it was really, really good and effective. It did work for the film in that case. So overall, did the movie work? Did I like the movie? I did. I actually really, really did. It surprised me in the sense that it was better than I expected. I expected something along the lines of something cheesy, especially talking about that trailer number 2 I was telling about. And then it's really hard not to draw comparisons to Chucky, right? I mean, the original killer doll sort of a thing, at least in our modern times. So it wasn't a carbon copy exactly. It was its own thing. It started off as that maybe in the trailer or just the idea of it, but really when you see the film, it really does just become its own thing and something that I think a lot of people will actually end up talking about. And I do think that there are going to be a lot of people that like this movie and like it a lot. Now, were there any cheesy parts? There was this one cheesy part towards the end of the movie in our climax, which was kind of, if you want to look at it this way, and paying homage to a classic action movie from the past, Aliens. And it was good. It was okay. Something is about to happen. We're like, oh no, how are they going to get out of it? And then this thing happens and you're just like, really? It was a little cheesy at that one instance, but the movie was good enough throughout the whole movie that I kind of forgave it. I'm like, okay, fine. It was a little cheesy, but overall it was good. We came out of it good. And the one cool thing that they did throughout the movie is they kind of put some posts. I can tell that they were putting little posts throughout the movie that were supposed to probably pay off at the end. And it did. So the ending was good and it paid off at the end and you're like, okay, cool. So now we kind of know what might happen, after the movie sort of a thing. So it was good. Was a little bit of a copy of Chucky. Yes, it was a little bit, but then again, it did its own thing and it ended up being its own thing, not just a carbon copy of Chucky. So I do think that it was, I'm not going to say it was original, but it was original enough that it stood apart from any of the other Chucky movies that you might see. So, should you see it in the theater? I would say that you could see it in the theater. Were there a lot of effects that you had to see it, like lasers and all, spaceships in space? No, it wasn't like that. It was mostly taking place in a neighborhood, in the house sort of a situation. So I'm always saying, hey, yeah, go see it in the theater, be immersed with everything. And that's true with pretty much any movie. But in this particular case, do you have to go see it in the theater? You may not have to. You can probably wait till you can, rent it or see it on Netflix or whatever like that. But is it worth seeing? I would say it's worth a full matinee ticket price on this one, for sure. So it was good. It's up to you whether you want to see it in the movie or not. But I don't think there were enough effects and special effects and special sound effects that you had to see it in the movie theater. So there you go. All right. So is there a post-credit scene? There is not a post-credit scene. Let's talk about a movie score. So overall, I think the movie probably received, I would probably give it a good, I'd probably give it about, maybe about a 7.5. Maybe, yeah, about 7.5 is probably what I would give it overall. It did have its scary moments. It did have its memorable scenes. Overall, I would say about a 7.5 on the 1 to 10 scale. Music wise, I would probably give that one, I'd probably say maybe about 6.5 to 7 overall is what I would give it musically. You put it all together, the overall score I'm going to give M3GAN is probably a good 7.5 to 8 is probably what I would give it. So it is a good, solid movie. It is a great entry for our horror, first horror movie of 2023. And I would definitely go recommend it. I would definitely recommend it because it did surprise me. Great pacing, great acting, great production value. And I think that a lot of people are going to be talking about this for a little bit of a while. And who knows? Maybe we'll see M3GAN once again in the future. And that'd be super cool if she goes up against Chucky someday. That'd be something to see, honestly. That really, really would. So, okay, cool. Well, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful 2023. That is the movie review for M3GAN. And we'll see you around. I have some more movie reviews coming up very, very shortly. Again, my name is Santiago Valencia. I hope you have a great, productive, and awesome 2023 overall. And we'll see you again on the channel. All right? Take care, guys. Bye-bye.